Okay, awesome. Okay, so welcome, welcome. So Eric Kelley is joining us from Charlottesville, Virginia, and he is an amazing wedding photographer. If you haven't checked out his work, if you're not following him, you definitely need to be following him. And
Check it.
he is, I mean, to be named a top wedding photographer by Martha Stewart Weddings and Harper's BAZAAR, hello, like that's amazing. And brides, that's so incredible. So tell us about your journey. How did you, now you went to the University of Virginia, right?
Yeah. So my journey, I started shooting weddings in 2004. I started photographing in the late 90s and got to UVA here in Charlottesville. And
Yay. I should have worn my UVA hat. I have one.
You went to UVA, right? Or did you just live here?
My ex-husband did. He went to law school there.
Whatever.
It's okay. It's all good.
It's a great city.
I know. I love it.
So I came here 17 years ago, and I went to school here for 4 years. And while I was in school, I started shooting weddings with a husband and wife team here in Charlottesville, and worked with them for 3 years. Started associate shooting with them in 2006, and then I went out on my own the end of 2007, and just
the rest is history.
Keep going every day. I got married in 2008 before Style Me Pretty and all of the blogs came to be. So we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary
happy
a couple months ago. Thanks. And
that's
we're
awesome.
like, what were we thinking? What were we doing? So I've just been shooting for a long time. I've done over 600 weddings, I think, at this point.
Wow. That is a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
A lot.
I could be plus or minus 10, but I'm pretty sure that I'm at least at 600. But
wow, that is a lot of weddings.
It is, and most of them are on Instaproofs. Not quite that many. I have 166 active galleries in Instaproofs.
Right on. That's awesome. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so tell us about. Okay, so usually I ask people that I interview on here to tell us about like their life, like their family, what they like to do outside of photography, just to kind of get to know you a little better. And so where did you live before you lived in Virginia?
So I was born in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was there for 12 years, 1983 to 1996. So 13 years. And then was in Rockford, Illinois from 96 to 2002 before I came here. So I've now been in Charlottesville. This is my 17th year in Charlottesville. So I feel a lot like I'm from here.
That's that's a great place to be from. Oh, are the dogwood blossoms out yet?
No, some of the red buds just came out while I was gone last week.
Where were you last week shooting?
I was in Deer Valley, Utah, outside of Park City.
Yes, I saw those pictures. Those are beautiful.
It was amazing. So we were, I was at WPPI in Las Vegas for a couple of days, real quick, to talk on a social media panel at WPPI. And then I went up to Park City in Deer Valley for a wedding last weekend, now 9 days ago. And we shot a wedding in the snow. It snowed about 12 inches over the 48 hours that we were there.
Wow.
So it was pretty
Are you
good.
a skier?
I snowboard. And
Awesome.
I made a deal with myself that if I got my wedding cold on Sunday morning, I would go skiing or snowboarding on Sunday afternoon. So
did you make it?
I went snowboarding for 2 hours on Sunday afternoon.
That's awesome.
It was great. It was beautiful.
Well, it's much better skiing there than Charlottesville. Sorry to say.
Yes.
What's that hill over in Charlottesville's area?
Wintergreen.
Yes, that's just doesn't do.
I went once. I never really want to go again. Maybe I went twice. I never want to go again because it's like 7 feet of vertical drop.
Yeah, it's just it's not the same. But
no, I like to go on runs that are like 20 minutes long instead of 2 minutes long.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
I hear
so here in Charlottesville, I've been here for 17 years. I got married 10 years ago. We had our son Henry in April of 2010, and then we had Della in February of 2013, and we have 2 dogs and 5 chickens outside.
Awesome. Awesome. So wait, I'm trying to do the math really quick. So you have a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old?
Stella, yeah, my daughter just turned 6, and Henry will be 9 in a month and a half, end of April.
Oh, and those are such cute names. What kind of dogs do you have?
We have a Cavalier King Charles Cocker Spaniel mix. His name is Pika, and then
I love it.
like Pikachu. And then
That's awesome.
we were going through a big Pokemon phase a year and a half ago when we got it. And then awesome. Rosalina. We got 2 puppies when we got Pika, but Rosie passed away a little over a year ago. She was a little crazy and she got out. But we have a Havanese Cocker Spaniel whose name is Rosalina.
I love it. I love it.
My daughter, Rosie was my daughter's, and she was like, of course we have to name it Rosalina because we have to.
Of course.
I've called her Rosie so many times. It's really kind of awkward, but whatever.
You're nice to let your kids have a say in the naming of the dogs. I'm like, no. I'm naming the dogs in our family, and the kids don't get a say. But anyway, that's awesome. And then you have chickens?
And then we have 5 chickens. We had 6, but we lost one. We have a tendency of losing things, apparently. And we lost. We got 6 chicks. We got 6 chicks last April, and we were trying to put one away, and we stepped on it. Whoops. It's okay.
That sounds like that would happen at my house. So are you like right in Charlottesville? I see when I lived there, we lived in student housing for a little bit, and then we lived out in Crozet.
Okay. Yeah, I'm right in town. I mean, there's a med student on the left of me.
Okay.
And there's a UVA professor right across the street from me. And there's a bunch of rentals in my neighborhood that are UVA folks.
That's awesome.
We're kind of on the edge. We're like just about as far as you go for student housing, like in Charlottesville.
Yeah.
There's some big apartment complexes just past us, but this is about as far as you go for. Like,
Charlottesville is just so. I really wish I could have been doing this live in Charlottesville. That would have been.
I know.
Totally taking care of the problems with the
technology.
Tech problems, and then I could go to Charlottesville. I love Charlottesville.
And where are you based at?
I'm in Boise, Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah. You
got a blue football field. That's what I know Boise for.
You know what? I moved here about 5 years ago, and it was because my husband's ex-wife married a guy from here. So yeah, kind of crazy.
What you do?
But you know what? I actually really love it. It's great. I mean, it's definitely not Virginia. I mean, Charlottesville is just so pretty. But anyway, I digress. But so you grew up in the Midwest. You're a Midwestern guy. See, I'm a Midwestern girl. I feel like I grew up in Kansas. So I kind of feel like Midwestern people are just always nice. But I'm a little biased. But anyway.
Yes, I think they are. Yes.
But that's awesome.
We don't have to go into what the other people are, but the Midwest people are really nice.
So, okay. So we know a little bit about your photo journey. We know a little bit about your family. So what are your hobbies? I don't know. I know most people want to hear about. Yeah.
I don't really have any hobbies. I used to like to build things and renovate houses, but I'm coming out of that. Okay, here's this. I owned a coffee shop. I started a coffee shop in 2008 when I was 24.
What?
And I owned it for 8 years. And then at the end of 2015, after I had taken on a couple of partners and we had expanded from 1 shop and 5 employees to 4 shops and 25 employees, I did that for a year and a half before I got out of it. And
wait, was that in Charlottesville?
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of it?
It was called Para Coffee, and then it turned into Grit Coffee.
Wait, what years was that?
2008. I started in September of 2008.
Okay, I was just gone. So I was there like 2005 to 2008.
Okay. Yeah, so I opened right when the recession started.
That was a bad time.
But you know what? I didn't really have anything to lose because I was just winging it, and any money that I made, paid the people, and then paid to make more stuff happen. So
that's so awesome. That's
yeah.
so you have a passion for coffee. And what's your favorite
I
place
used
to
to
drink?
have well, you know what? I didn't even drink coffee until 2006.
Oh,
And it was really more about the community aspect of it.
yeah.
I drink coffee, but I would not say that I'm a diehard, like, crazy coffee fanatic.
Yeah.
Um, but I do like a nice cup of coffee, and my desire would be that I would make myself a Chemex or a French press and not do the 630 auto brew on the coffee pot. But when you wake up after your daughter comes into your room almost every night for the last 6 years, you just want coffee. You don't want to make
True.
it.
Yes, that's so true. That's awesome. That's so cool that you had coffee shops. That's awesome.
Yeah, for 8 years.
That's
8 years.
That's a lot of time.
It is.
And
now
then, did your photography overlap your coffee shop days? I'm trying to figure out that timeline. Yeah. So it did.
Yeah, so I signed a lease on the coffee shop space in April of 2008. I shot my first wedding on my own. Well, I did a few while I was working for the people, but I got out of working for the people in October of 2007.
Okay.
And about the same time, I was working on planning a bike trip from Alaska to Argentina with a buddy of mine, and kind of in the middle. Cool. I know, it was kind of crazy, but
Alaska to Argentina.
Yeah, we were going to do
crazy.
We were going to do the Pan America Highway.
That is awesome. Wow. Do you speak Spanish? I used to live in Argentina too, so I do speak Spanish.
I speak a little bit, but really more when I have to than.
Yeah. Got it. That's so cool though. So are you still into biking now? Not so much. You got 2 kids. You're like, I have 2 kids, 2 dogs, a wife, and 5 chickens.
Yeah.
That's enough.
So this is me talking about my hobbies. I used to do some things, and I am like, any hobby that I have right now, it has to make money. I'm like, I can't just do things. I can't do things that are going to cost me anything. I have to do things that are going to make me money, which is a little bit of a stressful situation sometimes.
Yeah.
But I love snowboarding. I love watching basketball, college basketball mostly. UVA is doing phenomenal right now. So I'm on a group WhatsApp with 20 other guys just talking about UVA basketball, which is really fun. I think I went to 10 games this year.
Nice.
I don't know that I'm going to make it to any of the tournament because it would be a lot for me to get anywhere.
Yeah.
So hobbies. I don't really have anything that I'm doing.
Those are so basically you don't do anything halfway. You're like, hey, if I'm gonna bike from Alaska to Argentina, and if I didn't do. I was trying to say that I was thinking about that, and then I met my wife in the fall of 2007, and I had this idea to renovate this old building just off of the UVA grounds and turn it into a coffee shop, and also doing photography. That's so crazy.
My wife was like, you can date me or you can go on a bike trip, but you can't do both.
Good for her. That's
yeah.
Awesome.
So I said, okay, well, I'm going to date you and open a coffee shop and be a photographer and not do the bike trip. And so that was 2007. And then I was doing, in 2007, 2008, 2007, I started my weddings. 2008, I did about 15 of my own weddings, and I assisted about 20 weddings. So I did about 35 weddings. And middle of September, I photographed my friend's wedding. Or I opened the coffee shop on Thursday, and I shot a wedding on Friday and a wedding on Saturday. And
wow.
I was able to convince people to help me with the coffee shop, and just kind of winged it.
Yeah. What is the past tense? Winged it? I don't know.
I wung it.
You did
I winged it. I did it.
Nailed it. You nailed it.
I nailed it. And then
awesome.
I just hired people to work. I hired managers to take care of it, and I did my photography, and I was like juggling the both of them in 2013, 2014. and an opportunity to bring on a couple of partners arose, and then opportunity to buy a restaurant / coffee shop downtown in Charlottesville came up, and we just said, let's go for it.
Wow.
So I was doing...
restaurant business is a tough business.
Yeah, I'm so glad I'm not doing it.
I mean,
I love that I did it, and I'm glad that I'm not doing it now. I love getting to do my photography at this point.
My brother-in-law's a restaurant. He owns 2 restaurants, and it's like, I just don't know how he does it.
I have zero desire to do it right now.
That's crazy. So then, okay, wait. When did you go to UVA then?
I was at UVA from 2002 to 2006.
Okay, so, and then at what point did you decide to study photography?
2003.
And what led you to that? Like, how did you?
2004. I was doing photography in high school. My dad worked for a missions organization in Russia, and I was always going into their office.
For what organization?
A missions organization in Russia.
Okay.
And I went into his office a bunch of times and saw the photography there, and started chatting it up with the photographer that they had on staff.
Oh, cool.
I'm like, this is really cool. How do you do this? And so he started talking to me about it. My brother worked at a camera store for a few years in high school. He's 3 years older than me. And so I just started thinking about photography when I was in high school, really.
That's awesome. And then you studied at UVA, and then
I studied fine art photography, got my BA in studio art, and had a concentration in photography, but I had to do painting and sculpture and printmaking and photography, all the things. But I only got to take 2 years of photography classes, and we started in the darkroom, and partway through, while I was doing wedding photography, I said to my professor, I need to learn digital because digital is coming, and I need to get a job after I'm going to be done with school. So I need to learn digital. So he let me do my senior thesis in digital.
Oh, really? That was like right on the cusp of the crossover.
Yeah. So October of 2005, I bought a Canon 20D with a little bit of money that my grandpa left for me. And started a daily photo blog, which you can probably still find out there. Was looking at all these the daily photo blog was a thing. I mean, now we have Instagram, and it's basically a daily photo blog if you want it to be. But I made my own website. I took somebody else's HTML and adjusted it and coded it to be my own website, and had my daily photo blog. And so I was taking a photo, importing it, uploading it every single day in 2005, every single day.
Wow.
Maybe it was 2006. I don't know. I did a lot. So then I gave myself a present, a graduation present in 2006, which was a trip to Ireland. And there's a photographer, David Nightingale, who lives in England. And I messaged him and I said, hey, I don't have any plans. Can I come see you in Blackpool, England? And so I flew from Ireland over to Blackpool, England, and I met up with David Nightingale. His website is still going. He's doing education now. And
just like, because you loved his work?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He was one of the first like daily photo bloggers.
Oh, okay.
And he had another guy that lived near him, and so we met up and we went for a photo walk in Blackpool, England, and had a really great time. And so that was June of 2006. Came back and was still working for the wedding photography company here in Charlottesville.
I wonder if we ever crossed paths unknowingly, because I was there. My daughter was born in June of 2006 in Martha Jefferson Hospital.
Oh, that's awesome.
Anyway,
we might have. Who knows?
Maybe one of those days walking down town in Charlottesville,
getting Starbucks on the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was 2006, and then I started doing whatever I could. My goal when I graduated was to make $100 a day. I was like, I graduated in the spring of 2006, and I said I need to make $100 a day. That's roughly $3,000 a month, which is enough to pay my rent and to pay my bills. So I wanted to make $100 a day. In my first year out of school, I ended up making $300 a day. So I did about $100,000 in revenue my first year out.
Wow, that's awesome.
Which is pretty crazy.
That is awesome. That is really awesome.
I did sports photography. I did newspaper photography. I did some humanitarian stuff. I went to Nicaragua a few times.
Wow.
And
what was that for? What was the Nicaragua?
So there was a group of Nicaragua. There was a group of students from UVA that was going. They were going to Nicaragua for spring break, and I was friends with a photographer who, she was a year ahead of me in school, and was like, "You should really come on this trip." And so in 2005, I went on this spring break trip to Nicaragua and said, "This is amazing." I had my camera recently. I bought my camera in October of 2004. I remember now, because I did the photo blog in every day of 2005.
Okay.
And so I went on this trip and I loved it. I took my camera and was like, I need to come do something again. And so after the trip, two of my buddies and I were like, what can we do? So we talked to the organization that the UVA trip was with, and they were like, you could help open a feeding center for kids in this community that you went to.
Yeah.
And so we were like, okay, what can we do? I have an idea. And we were sitting in the Starbucks on the corner upstairs, and one of my buddies was like, or maybe I said it, he's like, why don't we walk across the country? So yeah, in the summer of 2005, two of my buddies and I flew down to Nicaragua. We raised some money here in Charlottesville, and we paid our way to Nicaragua, and we walked across the country.
How far is that? How long did that take?
So Nicaragua is kind of like this.
Okay.
Here's a long ways at the top of Honduras.
Yeah.
And then down here is Costa Rica. And we walked down here. So it was 200 miles, give or take. It was probably about 220 miles.
That's a long walk. How long did that take?
It was about 16 days.
And what did you do? Just camp or what?
Well, we thought we were going to be walking through the jungle. And turned out there was a perfectly brand new paved highway all the way across the country.
Oh, there you go.
But our map was a CIA map that we printed off on 8.5 by 11 paper. That's all we could find of of Nicaragua.
That is crazy.
It was crazy. So we decided to fly down. This is probably way off topic, but whatever.
Oh, I love it.
We flew down to Nicaragua, and we're like, let's go to the Corn Islands. So there's these beautiful islands on the Caribbean coast of Central America, and one that we flew to was Big Corn Island, and then we heard that there was a little place called Casa Iguana on Little Corn Island. So we got on a boat and we boated across 15 miles to Little Corn Island and found Casa Iguana, and then met some British folks that were there, and we're like, let's meet up for drinks. Well, we decided also that we were going to walk around the island. It's like a kilometer around the island. So we set off at 5 p.m. to walk around Little Corn Island, and we got lost the first day we were there.
Oh.
It was awful. We thought we were going to die. We were in brand new Chacos, and we were lost in the middle of the jungle of Little Corn Island.
Oh, that is crazy.
And we were just going in circles, and we were 200 yards from where we were supposed to be, but we couldn't figure out what we were doing. And we ended up being found by the British people that we were supposed to meet up with 2 hours earlier.
Oh, anyway, where did those crazy Americans go?
Yeah. So then a couple days later, the next day, we took a boat back to Big Corn Island, and then we took a plane from there to Bluefields, and then we took a boat up a river in Nicaragua, and then we walked across from a little town called Rama.
Wow.
And we happened to find little hostels every 30 miles.
That's awesome.
And so all the camping gear that we had,
you didn't need it.
Threw away. And we ended up, we still had a lot of gear. We ended up walking the first day, and then our feet hurt so bad. We're like, we got to figure something else out. So we jumped on a bus. We drove ahead 30 or 40 miles. Dropped off our stuff, bus back to that spot and then walked back to the hotel.
You guys were like committed to doing
we were.
it
Yes,
every month. So
we were
did you
committed.
take any like, I'm curious to know.
Yeah,
if you
so our
happened-
goal was to open this feeding center and then take photos across the country. And I have to say that I don't even want to look at the photos that I took from the trip. They were terrible. We were so exhausted from walking.
Are you sure? Because I think that would make, I mean, knowing the story behind it, I think I would buy an art print from you.
I don't know if there's anything worth buying. Maybe somebody else can look at it.
I want to look at him. I want to look at him, and because I just knowing that story, it's so fascinating, and I would want to buy him.
The coolest thing is that now that feeding center, I don't know if that feeding center is running, but because that feeding center got started, the organization has joined up with other feeding center networks.
Wait, is a feeding station kind of like a soup kitchen or something?
Yeah, for kids.
Okay.
And they have 1, 2, or 3 meals a day at different feeding centers, and the kids just line up and they come have lunch and then they go on. Some of them are at schools, some of them are at churches, but they joined a network and now they're a part of a network that's feeding like 150 or 200,000 kids a day in Nicaragua.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
That's amazing.
It's pretty awesome.
What are you hiding in here?
I'm on my Instaproofs interview.
Oh, is that your wife? I want to meet your wife.
My wife.
Oh,
Hey.
She's.
How are you?
I've
Hey,
got earbuds in, sorry.
Oh, I love your sweater. That's so
Oh,
cute.
thank you.
Welcome,
What's your
welcome.
name?
I'm Rebecca. I'm nobody. I'm just the interviewer. But
That's
I
so
used
funny.
I used to live in Charlottesville too.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
She had her baby in 2006 at Martha Jeff.
Oh, you
Yes.
did? Oh, my gosh.
Yes. My ex-husband went to UVA Law, so I was there.
Oh, nice.
And I love Charlottesville. But Eric was just telling us that all of his crazy adventures, and he was like, I was going to bike from Alaska to Argentina, but I started dating my wife, and she was like, you can date me or you can go on a bike ride. Choose. I
was like, if you go, I won't be here when you get back.
I love it. That's so awesome. Love it, love it, love it. That's so great.
Who's watching this?
Okay, well,
5 people? A bunch
there's
of
like
people.
5 people watching, and then it goes on like rerun for 24 hours, and then it goes on the Instaproofs website and with a write-up. So
We're gonna be
eventually,
famous.
Oh, my gosh.
but it's just fun because it's a way because I mean, like Eric Kelley, that's like, he's like famous, as you know, he's like a big deal.
Can
And
you see our daughter's messy closet in the background?
no, it
This
makes
is
me
real
feel-
life.
It's
Real
real
life.
life. It's like life. I love it. Well, it's just a way to like kind of get to know like the people behind the camera because, we're so used to seeing like these amazing pictures in magazines and everything. And it's just fun to get to know the person and the people behind the camera because it's so fun.
So there we are. I just explained her my trip to Nicaragua when I walked across the country.
Oh, yes. I was not there.
It sounds like he's not boring to be married to. Is that right?
That is correct.
There is never a dull moment with me.
There's
Well,
not.
I have to say, I've just met I don't know your name. What's your name?
Oh, I'm Laura.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Laura,
Nice to meet
okay.
you. Yes.
Well, I definitely think you made the right choice to date you and not walk and not bike from.
I don't know what I'm
Alaska.
doing.
That's
I
awesome.
agree.
It's true. It's
You
true.
did good. You did good.
Thanks.
I think
I did good.
Yeah.
She didn't do good.
Hey, I did good.
I was saying, well, actually, you got to say you both did good. And whenever my husband says something bad about himself, I'm like, hello, if you're not an amazing person, you're totally saying I don't have good taste. And I have good taste. And good judgment. So I was like, of course you're amazing. I'm married to you. Yeah.
That's right.
Totally. That's
I
the
make
truth.
good choices. I try to anyway.
She does.
You're a
That's
good choice.
awesome. And so how is it now? It's so fun to have you on here too. So how is it being married to a photographer who travels so much? How is that from your perspective and from the family life side?
Oh gosh. I mean, it's good. I feel like we've worked really hard to figure out the best way to manage the ins and outs and to practice presence when we're here.
Yeah.
What?
You have to hold it. I have to go get a charger.
Oh, hi.
Good moment to go to the toilet.
Great. No, I'm just coming by. I was doing work. Can you hear people doing construction in the background?
Oh, I can't hear it.
Oh, good. All right. Yeah, I think, I realized somewhere along the line that everybody, there's no perfect way to do kids or families or anything like that. And so my kids will just have the kind of life where they travel. I mean, we went to Ireland for 3 weeks this summer because Eric had a job over there.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, so there's benefits and drawbacks to anything, I think. So I think for us, it's just being present when you are here.
Yeah.
Trying to like have good, FaceTime with each other. So
that's awesome.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's so cool that you're traveling, you sometimes travel as a family. I think that's probably one of the best tips that you could give to people out there is to make it a family affair when you can, because then it makes it into an adventure for the whole family.
Yeah. And we wanted that. I mean, it's not that it's not chaotic. But we've been married for 10 years. Our oldest is about to be 9. So, you just learn. I mean, I think that's why children go through stages and they start as babies so that you can, gradually get used to.
Yeah, totally.
Get used to what it requires of you as a human being to take care of another human being.
Yes.
It's
so
great.
true.
And I go to all these weddings and I hear all these people talking about experiences and these families going places instead of buying things. And I'm like, let's do this. So a couple of years ago, we took a road trip around Europe. We went to Germany and Austria and the Czech Republic.
Oh, wow.
And then
the
lighting is way better right here.
Ooh, you guys are looking good.
Much better.
And then last summer we went to Ireland and we took a week to drive around Ireland.
That's awesome.
So
I think that's such an amazing thing to do for your kids, to let them experience different cultures and that's such an amazing gift to give to your kids.
I think they kind of appreciate it now, but I think in a few years they're really going to look back and be like, oh, my parents were pretty awesome and they did a lot for us.
Yeah. I think as time goes on, totally. Because I remember my cousins lived in Europe because my uncle was in the army. And when I was little, I got to go, I was 12 and I got to go visit. And at the time I was like, whatever, Paris. But now I'm like, I got to go to Paris when I was 12. What?
Yeah.
Awesome.
It just, I think, gives them a broader cultural context for, for themselves as they consider how they want to move out into the world. And so I just want them to be aware that there's like other people besides just us.
I think that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah. So
amazing. So how have you seen Eric grow as a photographer in the last 10 years? Is that just a totally on the spot question? I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, I think, evolution, the evolutionary process of your work as an artist, it takes time and it's kind of slow. And then all of a sudden you, upon reflection, can see how much you've shifted and changed,
It's probably easier for you to see that than him, maybe. To see because you can see, is it easier for you, would you say, to see his growth and evolution than it is for you, Eric? I don't know.
Oh, I don't know.
The last couple of years, I mean, the first, at the beginning, he was shooting mostly. Is it okay if I talk about you for a second?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all about Eric. It's like,
I know.
This is like Eric Day.
I like to talk about him.
That's awesome.
I like him most of the time.
Well, if you said all the time, I'd be like, you're lying.
I know.
That's not how marriage is.
You're like, he's a person, and you're a person.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when he first started photographing, he was, we were just at the tail end of the photojournalism movement, right?
Yeah.
Coming out of the very like stiff, insert yourself into every moment and control every moment. And there was a backlash from that to photojournalism. And I think along with the digital movement. You know, those things coincided. So he was working for a company, and they were very photojournalistic and all digital. So you were shooting, what were you shooting? Canon. Yeah. And so a lot of his work at the get-go is very photojournalistic. And then truly within the first year, we could sense that there was a movement, a shift happening in photography and what clients were looking for. And I just couldn't quite put our finger on it. And that was about the time that blogs started really kicking in. And Found Me Pretty, you know, I think had just started, only been around about 6 months when we just got started. And they featured one wedding per day on the front page, right? And Instagram, everybody still was using the little boxes around it and the filters.
That's why I started using Instagram. I mean, they have the cool filters.
People are like, "What are you doing? Why are you Instagramming?" And there's even a movement of like, only take the photo from your camera. That's from your phone. That's Instagram.
Yeah.
Anyway,
totally.
So yeah, somewhere in there, we started seeing the shift and moved to more fine art, things started shifting to more fine art. Obviously, film had a lot to do with that. And that was a backlash to the photojournalistic movement, where you didn't get any portraits. Everybody was just like, you know, the veils, like, you know, and maybe you don't want to hang that on your wall. Maybe you'd like a nice portrait of you and your person looking at each other or looking at the camera. So we started infusing. I mean, I feel like you started infusing that. We got a film camera, and slowly but surely the pace, I think, the combination of the pace between his digital photography and photojournalism blended with the fine art aspect that film offered him as an artist, totally started changing the way his work looked. And I think for the last, I mean, you can tell me if this is true or not, for the last maybe 5 or 6 years, we've been trying to find the blend between, I say we, but you've been trying to find the blend between.
We talk about it all the time.
The blend between, you know, fine art and inserting yourself to create something of where you are. Like the paper suite is a perfect example.
The what?
The paper suite.
Oh, okay.
Right? Like at a wedding, the paper suite is a perfect example of something that really ought to be laid out and have a particular look to it. And you're not going to exercise necessarily photojournalism for that aspect of the wedding. And same for the table, because you have all kinds of people who are involved in creating this wedding, and you want to honor you know, the work they've put into it. But photojournalism is really important for dancing. It's important for cocktails. It's even important for those moments in between the portraits where the client relaxes and finds themselves in an actual authentic moment, you know?
And you know what? It's really hard to find, like, so I'm a photographer also, but as I got remarried almost 5 years ago, and trying to, you know, pick a wedding photographer, it's hard because it was kind of like I felt like I could pick photojournalistic or I could pick a good portrait photographer.
Right.
And what I wanted was, I think I said this out loud. I was like, I want both. Like, I want multiple photographers because I didn't get multiple photographers, but I in the end picked someone who was their strength as a portrait photographer, but it was mostly because of my relationship with her. And I I had, you know, you want someone who you know on your wedding day or whatever. But anyway, but that's such a great skill to have, to be able, I don't think people realize how valuable that is unless you are looking for something like that, because the people, you want somebody to nail those beautiful, you know, the table shots. And because, I mean, my table was out of my Pinterest dreams, you know, I wanted that shot nailed. But then the photo I have, I'm looking at it right now. The photo, oh, I have to walk over and show it to you. The photo I have blown up is a total candid moment. And it's my favorite because it's just, you can see.
Yeah. You can just see that, like, the children, you can see the delight and surprise on your face, which, you know, as a human, we can imagine he's doing something to evoke that feeling from you.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
that's my favorite photo because, but of course I love the other ones she took as well. But anyway, that's like my favorite.
Yeah.
So I think that it's really important to tie those two together. I've been working really hard to tie those two things together, and I think that that's been one of the points of differentiation for me between a lot of other people. Is there's the photojournalist or there's the fine art portrait photographer, and I studied fine art photography in school, and then got flung into wedding photojournalism. And for the first 3 or 4 years of shooting, I was like, where are all the portraits? Like, where are all the, like, I knew that I needed to get the portraits of the couple, of the bride. Like, I know that I needed to do all that. And then I was like, oh, I need to like tie these things together. So that's what we've been working on. And when I talk to people, I stress the importance of that. I stress the importance of being able to be a fly on the wall when I need to, but also stepping in and affecting things when I have the opportunity.
Awesome. And I love Laura here. Wait, Laura, did I?
Yeah, Laura. Yeah.
I love hearing it from your perspective too. And that's so awesome that I don't know what your background is, but you obviously have an appreciation for the arts and get what he's doing. And I think that would be super valuable to have in your situation, to have somebody to help you curate your look and travel through this journey. So awesome.
It's been really helpful. So I grew up as an athlete, and I did gymnastics and I played team sports, but I dove was my main thing. I dove at UVA, and I had a coach. Yeah,
that's amazing.
So I dove, and 40 times a day I would do dives.
Yeah.
Throughout my practice, and every time he would say, "Good job, now fix this. Good job, now fix this." That actually wasn't really good. So you can fix all these different things. Yeah. So after I would come back from a wedding and we would be looking at the images, Laura would say, "This was great, but fix this."
That's amazing. That's amazing to have somebody who has the ability to give you that perspective in a loving way. Really.
Right.
That's huge.
I also think, for me, like, it's great to have her, but for me to not get discouraged by it. Yeah. And to see that, oh, she's taking the place of my coach that I used to have. Yeah. Does that make sense?
That's awesome. Yes, that totally makes sense. I'm so glad you walked into the room.
I know.
Oh,
this is like such a treat.
Yeah. I mean, I think too, so I did hair and makeup for 10 years. And I did hair and makeup for weddings and that kind of thing.
Oh, so you're kind of in that. Yeah. By the way, your skin looks amazing. I was going to say that.
I'm using Juice Beauty right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I found, you know, I don't know if you follow Gwyneth Paltrow on Goop.
Oh, I used to be like a total Goop like follower, and then I just.
Gooper?
I mean, I don't. You know, I get advertised to based on my algorithm, you know, for that and like fertility stuff. And like, I thank you so much for targeting me. I really appreciate this. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. But they Juice Beauty created a line for Goop, and I thought so I thought I'll just go to Juice. It's like a third of the price, so it's got to be like same ingredients. Anyway, neither here nor there. But I mean, as a hair and makeup artist, I knew firsthand as a vendor what I was looking for. Yeah. Right. And as a bride, like as a previous bride, I had a sense of, you know, what I liked from my wedding photos and what I felt was missing. And so I was able to kind of offer him that. And I think, you know, it's good to be satisfied with your work and to not be like, you know, consistently malcontent, but it's really good to also be in a constant state of improvement, you know?
Yeah. That's amazing. Well, and also I think it makes it so it keeps your work fresh, because I feel like with people who are, you know, that deep in the industry like you, who are shooting so much, it's easy to get burnt out or, you know, just like, oh, this another wedding or whatever. But if you're always improving, then, you know, it keeps things more interesting.
Yeah. Well, I definitely had the burnout a couple of years ago.
What did you do to combat it?
The burnout. We all have it.
The burnout?
What did you ask? What did I
It was
do to
the
combat?
burnout. It has like quotes around it.
Well, I think I just say that because I think sometimes it can feel very shameful to be at a place in your career and be like, oh, I just couldn't do it one more day.
Yeah.
But the more we talk to people, the more it's like a really common experience. And so that's why I put it in air quotes, because you're experiencing the burnout.
Yes. So how did you get through it?
I don't know. So how did I get through it? I realized that I started doing some work on myself. And I started just looking back at my life, and we call it story work. And so I went back and just started putting some pieces of the puzzle together. And the day that I came back from this, I went to a story workshop. And the day that I came back from this was the day of the eclipse 2 years ago.
Oh, cool.
So you probably remember the eclipse.
I'm gonna go check on
All right, you go check on the dogs because they're crushing us.
Bye, Laura. Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So sorry, I'm gonna set my phone back up. So I went to this thing and came back and saw a photo by Chris Burkhardt, who he had guys tightrope between two big rock things, and they tightroped across, and they walked, and he photographed them with probably like an 800 millimeter lens in front of the sun.
Oh.
And I thought that was the really cool thing. And not that it was so amazing, but I'm like, there was no reason for him to do this other than he wanted to do it. Like, he had an idea and he wanted to go do it. And so
to do
that
some
was
personal work, just for
yeah. And so I saw that and was like, I want to go do some personal work. And that was the summer we bought this house that we're living in. I was renovating it during the summer. I was like, if I never have to pick up a camera again, other than the last 8 weddings that I have for the year, I'll be okay. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to be okay. And I talked to people and I tried to find other work, and nobody would say yes to me. And after the eclipse, I was like, I'm going to do something for myself. I then happened to be in Napa for a wedding 2 weeks later, and it was 117 degrees. I was in San Francisco and Napa for the hottest time ever in that area.
That's fun.
And I had the best time at the wedding that I shot. It was awesome. I did great. It was really, really hot, but it was exactly what I needed to kind of reinvigorate myself. 2 weeks later, I then went to Aspen for a wedding and was on top of Aspen Mountain, and it snowed. September 23rd, it snowed. The colors were in peak. The snow came and covered everything, and then the ceremony started and the sun came out.
Wow.
It was the most beautiful wedding I've ever photographed.
Magical.
It was magic. And we got super sick because of altitude. Like we worked a 10-hour day at 11,000 feet, and we had just flown in. It was awful. But on the way home, I was like, there are no clouds in the sky. There's no moon in the sky. I want to go photograph Maroon Bells, a mountain outside of Aspen, Colorado. So Amanda Crean was with me, and so we drove out to Maroon Bells, and I made a long exposure photograph of Maroon Bells. Rolled my ankle, almost broke it, and went back to the hotel, posted a photo on Instagram, posted a photo on Facebook, and I went to bed. And I woke up with so much encouragement and so much affirmation of what I was doing that I was like, okay, I have to do this.
Wait, where did you post it?
I posted it on Facebook and on Instagram on my account.
Cool.
And so if you scroll back, you can see Maroon Bells, and you can see the photo of that.
Cool. I'm gonna do that when I get
that sky. It was really, really cool. And so the next day I went and had a meeting with one of my buddies in Denver, and I was like, I'm going to get back into this, and this is what it would look like for me to do it. I want to do this and this and this. And I laid out goals. I laid out a monetary revenue number, and I was like, I'm going to work on it. And I got halfway there in the next year. I did I made it halfway to my goal. Wow. And I actually have that photo of Maroon Bells. I have some prints that are for sale. I decided to print them.
Are they,
anyway,
do you sell them through Instaproofs or are they on your website?
I made a bunch of prints. And
okay.
I don't even know where I'm selling them except verbally, or every once in a while I put something up that they're for sale. Cool. I have a few left.
That's cool.
Anyway, so you know what? I'm going to go to the Knot Gala. I went to Engage in Venice, Italy, and then the next year, which was last year. So that was summer of 2017, fall of 2017. And then last year, I did 24 weddings around the world. Was gone a lot, but figured out a better way to balance everything. And it all worked a whole lot better than it had before. And then last year, I booked 19 weddings for 2019 before January 1st, which was the most I've ever booked. And wow. I still have a few that I'm talking to and booking for this year. So I just, I feel like sometimes it takes the burnout to kind of realize what you have and what you've got. And that was really what it took for me. And so going to Engage, if you've not heard of Engage Summits, has been one of the best things for me. I wanted to open that coffee shop for community.
Yeah.
And I've found that the wedding industry, albeit that we work for ourselves and we all live all over the place, like the wedding community that I've become a part of has been a really, really influential and impactful community that I am in. And Davis, I will definitely come back to Italy. Don't worry. Sorry, that was a comment down there.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm like, that sounds like a great thing to do.
Heck yeah. And so I've been hitting it hard. Hustling.
Awesome.
I've gotten together with Hustle and Flow, and I'm doing some teaching this year. I'm going to be at an Evolve workshop in Palm Springs in April, and then I'm teaching at the Hybrid Collective, and oh yeah, I have 20 more weddings this year. So I'm talking in a bunch of different places, and I'm shooting a whole lot.
Crazy.
And I have 7 talking engagements in the next 9 weeks.
Whoa, that's crazy.
So yeah, it's kind of crazy. But I feel like I have more energy to do it, and I keep saying no to things, and the things that I want to say yes to are I am able to say yes to them.
Well, thank you for saying yes to this interview, because it's so fun to talk to you. And honestly, before we started, I was like, okay, usually my interviews go like an hour. And I was like, I just need to be shorter. But I just love hearing about your life. And
oh, thanks.
Okay, so Instagram will cut us off after an hour. And I don't even know what time it is, but I want to hear about how you became part of the Instaproofs family. Because how did I end up interviewing you here, and how do you use it, and any tips for new users or anything like that?
I followed the Jonathan Canlis approach to the T.
Love John. He's
my average monthly sales is about 1,000 a month for the last 6 years.
Awesome.
And I have done 14,000 this year already.
Wow, good job.
No reason other than it just happened. And
who's your print lab of choice through Instaproofs?
I do Richard Photo Lab.
Okay, cool.
I need to order some stuff to see what it looks like, because I've never ordered anything and gotten it. I just started it. And
it's great. That canvas I was showing you from my wedding is Richard Photo Lab.
Okay, yeah, they're great. And the autofulfill thing, I used to be like, no, I got to do it all. I have to do it. I can't let anybody. Can I tell you how awesome it is to have the autofulfill on? Check.
I know. You have no idea how many people my interviews say that. They're like Karen. I don't know if you know Karen Hill Weddings. She was like, the autofulfill is like the best thing in the whole world. Like, it's so great.
And it still leaves, if you put your prices high enough and then put them on sale, it's still, my profit margin is like 98%.
Awesome.
It's crazy. So anyway, I got on a long time ago, and I don't even know what I was doing. Somehow I got connected with Adam Ellis, and I don't even know who Adam is in the whole grand scheme of things. But
Adam is the owner and creator of Instaproofs. Yeah.
Oh, I wondered if that was what he was.
So if you've never met him, you should meet him at the Hybrid. I think he's going to be at the Hybrid.
Yeah, I think he's going to be there.
Yeah. I've met him in real life too. He's awesome. I love Adam.
my approach, I have now started to upload directly from Lightroom into Instaproofs. Took me a long time to figure that one out, but I do that now. I upload high-res files. I pay $50 a month to have as much storage as I need to have all my galleries on there for however long I need to have them on there. And every once in a while I'll sell prints from like 3 or 4 or 5 years ago. Awesome. So like my thought is like, don't be so limited. Like, don't be limiting and don't take your stuff down. Like, keep it up there and make it as easy as you can on yourself and on your clients. And I have some emails going out that.
Oh wait, you paused. Oh.
Apparently I need to fix some of my emails because they say the wrong thing, but whatever. It's working. It's working.
Well, that's awesome. And I just got the 2-minute countdown from Instagram. So
we have the most people. We had 10 people a minute ago.
I know. Well, and thank you so much. I have loved talking to you.
You're welcome.
I feel so inspired, and I loved talking to your wife, and it's just so inspiring to me to hear about the lives behind the photos. And now I'm gonna go look for that photo on your
Maroon
feed.
Bells. Yeah.
Wait, it's called Maroon Bells.
Maroon Bells.
And
yep. It's
I
one of
want
the
to see your Nicaragua pictures. I want to see your Nicaragua pictures.
Okay, I'll find them.
I do. Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much. Okay, bye, Eric.
Have a good one. Bye.
Tell Laura bye too. See ya.
Hey, John Canlis.
Oh, hey. Bye, John.
You're the man.
Okay. See ya.